Me and Bob got things so on the low, so we can see just go with your gun flow. Me and Bob got things so on the low, so
put your mic down, boys, save that chit chat.
me and Bob got things so on.
Okay, so what we have here is the basic 2-turntable Serato DJ connection, and Serato can only take 2 inputs anyway, 2 turntables or 2 CD players, and we'll show you how to connect all that today. And the first thing that you do is take the turntable connections, the RCA left and right out of the turntable, and plug them into the Serato interface box. And it's clearly labeled on here, inputs. You can plug a mic in if you want to and record and scratch vocals off of a microphone, or the inputs numbered 1 and 2. And basically that just corresponds to the left turntable is number 1, the right turntable is number 2. Because of the way that the Serato graphic interface is laid out, it's just got 2 virtual decks you can play with, one on the left and one on the right. You can't really change that around in Serato, so that's why it makes sense to plug the turntables in, number 1 left, number 2 right. And the other plug on the Serato interface box that's very important is the USB connection here, which connects right to your computer. And it's a regular USB 1 wire, not a, it doesn't have to be USB 2. So after that connection, which the turntables go into here first, they don't go into the mixer. The turntables get plugged into here first. After that, you have 4 outputs from the Serato interface box that go to the mixer. Now, when you're using turntables, there's 2 options. The through output goes to your phono in on the mixer. Now what that means is whenever you play a normal record on the turntable, as long as you select phono input on your mixer, you'll hear what's on that record. Okay? So even though we have the turntable plugged into the interface box, since the through put is connected from the box to the mixer in the phono 1 line, you should hear what's on this record. Now, as I skip through it, okay, that's what's on this record. The music was not coming off of the computer. And that's a great tool because you don't have to stick to just the computer or just vinyl. You can play both off the computer and play vinyl if, for some reason, records that you have are not in your Serato system. So you can go back and forth seamlessly between each one. All you have to do is change your phono and line input. That's all you have to change in order to hear regular turntable on phono or the computer on line. The line outputs from your Serato interface box connect into your line inputs on your mixer. So the phonos go to phono just like normal, and the lines go to the line input. There's a little bit of a difference when you're using CDJs or a regular dual drawer CD player. That output plugs of the output of the CD player plugs into inputs 1 and 2 just like turntables do, but the through can't go to a phono input because if it's coming from a CD player, it's a line level output and not phono. They're a different line signal. So be careful of that when you're connecting CD players through Serato. And on this particular mixer, the Pioneer, you have an option of changing the phono input to accept line or phono, but not all mixers do that. So you have to make sure the mixer that you're using either can or cannot accept line inputs into its phono input that it gives you. I know Vestax doesn't really offer that, and Newmark might or may, I can't remember. But on this particular mixer, you have that option. So if you're using CD players with a Pioneer mixer, you have that option of having 2 CDJs that you can play normal CDs off of or control Serato. And then you have an option to seamlessly go back and forth between each one. So what we're using today is turntables. So unlike normal records, which have music on them, the Serato records that come with this interface and the software together, you get two copies of their control record. You also get 2 copies of their control CD, which I don't have with me now, but you do get all that together in one package when you buy Serato. And all that's on this control record is time code, okay, from 0 at the very beginning of the record all the way to 10 minutes, and that's on side A. Side A is 10 minutes of control signal. Side B is 15 minutes of control signal. And each side works the same exact way as far as the time code. All right, so once again, if you're listening to the turntable, all you'll hear is this, which is why it's important to have your line outputs of the Serato box plugged into your line inputs of the mixer. And once you have that connected correctly, all the music that comes off the computer comes right through to the mixer and is controlled by the control records. So you can treat the records as if the song is actually on vinyl, okay? And that's what makes Serato such a incredible tool, because you can still control it as if it's vinyl. And there are some other options of how Serato plays back the audio, which we'll go through in a minute when we close up onto the screen so you can see exactly what we're clicking on and choosing. But for now, that's the basic setup. So just to recap, the turntables plug into the box first. Input 1 for the left side, input 2 for the right side. Make sure your USB is connected to your computer. And your outputs of the Serato box are clearly labeled through 1, line 1, through 2, line 2. The through outputs go into your phono input on your mixer, and the line outputs go to the line input of the mixer. And if you're using CD players, there's going to be a slight adjustment to that, and we'll also show you the slight adjustment necessary in the Serato setup screen in the software in order to use a CD player. So hopefully that helps you get started with your connection, and what we're going to do now is go into the screen setup options to get everything calibrated right so you can go off and play your music.